Welcome, residents, to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard, and next to me is the Doctor himself.
Hello.
Each week, we talk about the weird and wonderful world of DC while fielding questions from listeners like you.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm feeling it today.
I thought you were going to go, sorry, just because I could see the Scorpions thing there. I thought you were going to go from like, listeners like you. I thought you were going to do something like that. I thought that's where
we
you were
want
going.
questions from listeners like you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And today, of course, we are joined by past and future guest, writer, podcaster, and comedian Zack Beseda. Welcome.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we were very...
I like implicating people by saying that they're going to be future guests as well.
Yeah, that's a good way to like hook them in.
Yeah. I should have done that to Liam.
Yeah, no, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for reaching out, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was woefully behind in my reading last time, and so I thought, what better chance than to come on and redeem myself? Now that I'm all caught up.
So what have you been getting into lately?
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of keeping up with everything, but I'm really into the Superman stuff. I love Jonathan Kent. I love his relationship with Damian Wayne. I'm really into the Robin comic right now. I'm interested to see where they take the sort of Mortal Kombat thing.
Yeah. And Connor Hawk is back in that
exactly.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Wait, Mortal Kombat thing?
Yeah, he's on this like island in like a tournament right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Is he going to go Super Saiyan?
You can only hope.
Yeah. Hopefully he dies and that has to do the same thing in heaven.
Is that what happens to
Goku? Yeah. He has to like, I think he has to do like an afterlife combat. It's fucking awesome. And then like take the long road back to life. It's
what
fucking
an exhausting afterlife.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It fucking ruled.
That's amazing. Yeah. So lots of Superman, lots of Robin. Anything else that's really standing out lately as like a favorite thing that you're reading?
All the Batman stuff is really good right now. I didn't read Batman growing up because I just didn't have the time. But now that I kind of do, I like everything that's kind of going on there with like the Scarecrow and what's going to happen with the Peacemaker and all that stuff. I feel like there's something. I do enjoy Green Lantern. I'm kind of interested to see where they take what's her name, Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly Quintanilla.
Is this the Morrison run stuff?
No. Morrison run's done. We're into this new run, and this is the run where the United Planets is like, you guys can't be the cops. Like, if you want in on the United Planets, you guys can patrol outside of our borders, but you don't patrol in here.
Wow.
It's like the entire existence and like purpose of the Green Lantern Corps is called into question.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. So did you read any of that Morrison run, Zach?
I did. I enjoyed it just in the sense that it's so weird, but it's also kind of hard to keep up with like where he's going with everything. It's
Morrison book? No.
Yeah. It's like we're in this kind of weird world, and then we're in this weird world, and there's kind of a loose thread going on. But
so did you just jump basically into like what's been going on right now, or did you look back at any old stuff?
No, dude. I actually started, and it took me about 2.5 years, but I started with Crisis on Infinite Earths and basically just read, not literally everything. I mean, that would be insane, but just kind of read through from there and finally caught back up. Yeah, just because, like I said last time I was on, I didn't really read anything but Superman originally. And so I didn't really realize how much stuff I was missing that now makes so much more sense.
Yeah. I just want to go back to something that Zach said that I found amazing, which was the idea that as a child, I didn't have time to read comic books. But now as an adult that works.
Yeah.
I gotta make the space.
Maybe not so much the time, but like they would get expensive.
Yeah, no, it's totally.
And my mom was paying for them. So.
A small Zach, like in a full suit, just like wringing his hands through his hair.
I got wall-to-wall meetings today. I'm not going to get to Batman.
Yeah, what am I going to do? I got fucking priorities here.
Exactly.
He was the boss baby.
I got to eat paste at 4. I got
finger painting at 5.
Yeah, Jesus
oh man,
Christ.
There was a kid in my grade 1 class that ate paste, and we never saw him after that year. I'd say 70% sure he didn't die, but I don't know.
Wow. Okay. That's a way to dark turn.
Don't worry, I'll make it up.
Oh, sure. Great.
I'll redeem myself.
I don't know why you would say that.
Heyo.
That's interesting too that you started then, because I think the last time you were on the podcast was almost 2 years ago.
Was it?
Yeah, I was
long?
not very far.
It was like 144.
Holy shit! That was so. It feels so much shorter than. What
I
it
know.
was.
2020 didn't really happen.
No.
Yeah,
Just
the whole year's a write-off.
That's crazy. But yeah, why don't we get into today's theme?
Yeah, let's
real
do it.
estate, right?
No.
Oh, reincarnation.
No.
Hold on. Rappers.
I fucked up and I said resurrection last week, but that was what we did the first time Zach was on.
Oh.
Then I corrected to much flack on our doc scored.
Our doc scored?
I corrected it. We're talking about redemption
Wow.
for this one. We're talking
So,
about
what does that mean? Is this bad guys becoming good, or like
good guys making up for having done bad, or all. I mean, it's,
your Hal Jordans of the world?
Certainly, definitely in there. I mean, Zach's been reading since Crisis, so he's seen the Arc of Hal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
lots of that
Hal
stuff.
certainly, definitely some villains who have kind of turned coat or tried to turn over a new leaf. There's some people that have to do it multiple times, but yeah, it's a pretty wide open sort of idea.
That's exciting.
Zach, what was it about this idea that you were excited about? Because you reached out, you were like, this would be like a fun episode to do.
Well, like I said, it kind of been sticking in my head because one of my weird answers was you had asked me what character should be killed off or, and remain dead. And I think I said Lex Luthor. And like in hindsight, I was like, that's kind of a dumb answer because Lex is pretty great. But so I thought like, well, it might be cool because, actually what sparked the idea was Max Lord coming back. And me kind of thinking about how he was the only character that had been established as a good guy and is now established as a bad guy.
Right.
And that was the only character I could think of like that. But there were several characters I could think of who had been bad and turned good, or had been good, done something bad, and then redeemed themselves.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's interesting too. Yeah, it is hard generally to think of the good gone bad ones. It's definitely more difficult than bad gone good.
Yeah. I mean, and redemption's such an interesting thing because it has to be a conscious choice. Like, it's not like I lost my memory but became good or something. It's like you have to make a conscious effort to redeem yourself, like through adversity. It's not like I'm just going to try to change my ways. It's like I have to fix the way that people think about me, which is a different thing than just like changing your actions.
Yeah, definitely. And and there's there's some people that try for redemption and maybe they're not that sincere about it. And there's other people that are very sincere, but maybe don't get there.
Yeah.
It's a very, very complicated sort of territory. But specifically when you're writing comics that have to come out every month forever, you're inevitably going to come around to it.
Definitely, yeah,
So,
for sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, why don't we get into the questions?
Yeah, we got lots of them.
Hell yeah. So first, we're going over to Twitter.
Twitter.
First question comes from Truth, Justice, and Hope, who asks, Superboy Prime had a redemption arc in Dark Knight's death metal, and I have mixed feelings about it. What are your thoughts?
So let's just,
I've got that. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, let's just start with Superboy Prime. So we first meet him, I think, during Crisis.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Superboy from, they call it Earth Prime. It's heavily implied to be, if not our world, a world very much like ours without superheroes. And he grows up reading comics, and he's named Clark Kent because his folks find him in a field and stuff.
Love that.
And then the events of Crisis sort of kick off, and he gains the powers of Superman, and he becomes this very kind of powerful character that fights and helps, and he ends up, they save the day kind of at the end of Crisis, and he ends up trapped in this pocket dimension, and he stays there until Infinite Crisis when he breaks out. Now, you've gotten through all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Infinite Crisis, Superboy Prime breaks out, and his sort of thing is like, we built the universe on the wrong Earth, because things are so dark. It's almost like a meta commentary on what was happening in comics. He's like, we got to make everything right, and he ends up becoming the villain in trying to change everything. He sort of lashes out. He accidentally punches Pantha's head off.
Yes.
And he's like, I'm not the bad guy here, and he goes crazy. What did you think of like that? Because I think he's not, to me, that interesting in Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's Infinite Crisis that gives him this layer. What did you think?
For sure. It didn't bother me so much in the sense that I could just kind of read through it and move along. But I do know that a lot of people didn't care for him just as kind of this annoying kind of a brat character. But I don't know, like he never bothered me. And I liked him coming back and sort of just continuing his story. And then now we kind of have a conclusion to his story.
Yeah.
And so I thought it could have been better.
I think people didn't like the mirror being held up because Superboy Prime is essentially like a whiny, angry fan.
Yeah.
He's like, you ruined the thing I like. This isn't how it's supposed to be. I could do it better. But like, he's kind of like,
there's a very like Miles Morales thing in there.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, because Miles Morales was like exists in a world where Spider-Man already existed and was a fan.
Yeah. I guess there's an element of that too. But yeah, it's true. Superboy Prime kind of has this meta level where he's almost outside of it because he initially comes from an Earth without superheroes, where everyone was fiction.
Sure, yeah.
But everyone was reading DC Comics, so he knows Batman and Superman.
That's weird. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and so he becomes this very big, impassable villain. So powerful that
like he can almost like bring a director's cut to life.
Oh God. Oh Jesus. That would. Oh, I mean, yeah. You. It would have been heavy-handed, but you could have used him that way.
Yeah.
But like two Supermen, the Earth 2 Superman and the main New Earth Superman had to fly him through a red sun to depower him a little, and they barely beat him. And then he had to be trapped in a Green Lantern prison inside a red sun where it was like 50 lanterns constantly with their rings making this prison, holding him because he's so impossibly powerful. And we get to death metal. Yeah, exactly. He gets a death metal, and he has a bit of a redemption moment. Did you want to touch on that a bit, Zach?
Yeah, well, I thought that considering the problems with the character, just from the reader's standpoint, I thought they dealt with or explained his conflict in a satisfying way. It's like of all the world, like all these characters got saved in Infinite Crisis, his Earth died, and I kind of. I mean, that makes sense. It's like he loses his Earth and sort of he's a teenager. He's jealous of all these other characters in the real quote unquote Superman. And I didn't expect him to come back in death metal. So it was kind of a nice surprise just from a continuity sort of standpoint. Like I said, overall, I thought it was satisfyingly done. I mean, I don't know if there's any spoiler warning for Richard or not.
We're like a year out of it. Richard's got to catch up.
That's okay. I'm barely paying attention as it is.
I mean, a thing that I liked though is like he is convinced to stand with the heroes and villains who are all up against the Darkest Knight, which is the Batman who laughs with the power of Dr. Manhattan.
I still can't believe it.
A lot of things happened.
Who rescued Superman Prime? Wasn't it Barbados or was it the Batman Who Laughs?
Batman Who Laughs did, because essentially in Trinity Crisis, each of the Trinity go back to one of the three main crises to try and harness this energy they need.
This is one of those moments too where you sound like a little kid. Yeah,
I know. So I think Superman goes back to Final Crisis.
But then Loki escapes
to fight, but Darkseid is there guarding it. This is a version of Final Crisis where Darkseid wins. Yeah. Batman goes back to Crisis on Infinite Earths to stop the Anti-Monitor. And Wonder Woman goes back to Infinite Crisis, and she kind of convinces Superboy Prime that's like, right now, like, if your stated goal is to bring back your world, it's never going to happen working with the Darkest Knight. But if you help us, if we win and we can bring back all of the Earths that have ever existed, you can have your world back. And he sort of begrudgingly agrees, but the heroes don't trust him. The villains are like, even like, it's like Parasite is like, no, this guy creeps me out. I'm not like, the villains don't trust him. He's sort of this pariah to both sides. But he's this crazy powerful character who goes toe to toe with the Darkest Knight. And he manages to destroy the last 52, which are the 52 dark worlds that the Darkest Knight had made. And he does that, and he stops the Darkest Knight's army, and he dies and ends up back on his world again.
But Hal doesn't get any sort of deal like that.
Hal has already gotten his redemption.
Oh, okay.
Many times,
but not his planet back. Didn't he lose his world, and that's why he?
Hal is from Earth.
Who's the one that freaked out and like went and killed everybody? Because
you're thinking of John?
That's Hal, but he just lost a city.
Yeah. Oh, it's just a city. But did he get his city back?
Oh yeah, Coast City's back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just after a couple of attempts, finally got it back.
Yes. Yeah.
He tried to recreate it on his own. That didn't work.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of neat. Like, I don't think Superboy Prime was ever my favorite character, but it's a neat little coda that it was like he has to come around to the idea that the thing he was trying to do before was control the narrative. And what he has to do is let go and be ready for, like, all stories have some sort of value in some way. It's this sort of meta thing about like letting go of that fanboy anger a little.
Did he get his own series at all?
No. But he featured in lots of different things. He went up against the Green Lanterns a bunch, and
I like the concept behind that. Like, I would love to see that a bit more fleshed out. But
once you get through all this shit that you bought, you get a lot of books to read.
Yeah. Fuck, no time. No time. I got paste. I got some finger painting to do.
Yeah. I'm like a kid again. I got no time.
Yeah.
Got algebra homework.
All right. Let's go to the next question from James Lloyd, who asks, since Heroes in Crisis, Wally has had 3 separate writers write a redemption arc of sorts. Flash Forward, Speed Metal, and the Thawne retcon in Finish Line and Blink of an Eye. Out of the 3 stories, which one works best for the character? Or do they just work best together?
So we're talking specifically about that in Heroes in Crisis, Wally has this.
God, I love that they have one called Speed Metal.
Force.
That's fucking so rad.
That's a rad book too.
Yeah.
Wally has this sort of Speed Force accident that kills everyone at Sanctuary.
Sanctuary!
And so but then he also like covers up the murder and stuff like that.
Bully.
It's a very out of character moment for Wally that, a few stories have tried to go back and sort of massage to make it work a little more nicely. What are your thoughts on the sort of continuing saga of how do we make Heroes in Crisis not this big sore thumb in Wally's history?
Right. I remember, I think, Flash Forward best.
Yeah.
And that was mostly about him finding his kids again.
Yeah, like through the multiverse. It's him and Tempest Fugonaut.
Right.
Yeah.
And Speed Metal was remind me what Speed Metal was about.
Speed Metal.
That was the one about him finding out what happened at Sanctuary, right?
Well, no. So he already kind of knew what happened there.
But because he thought that he had killed everyone, and then it was revealed that it was kind of an accident, right?
Yeah, it was an accident. But in Speed Metal, it's him and Jay Garrick and Barry and Wallace West running through the Speed Force, trying to get the Mobius chair and trying to stop the Darkest Knight and trying to.
I think I found that one confusing.
That one you need, like, it's part of the bigger death metal thing, but yeah, on its own, it actually doesn't do all that much with the Heroes in Crisis thing other than referencing it. But it does reference the thing you talked about, which is that Wally thought that he did it. He didn't really. We get one of these Eobard Thawne, it was me, Barry. Turns out it was me, Wally. He kind of like did his sort of Speed Force whisper negative thoughts thing.
Whoa.
And kind of nudged Wally's freak out and made that a thing.
Because he was leaping through or being pushed through time, I guess, by the Speed Force. And anytime he would let this energy out, it would cause an explosion, and that was what had actually killed everyone in Sanctuary.
And that's the final retcon to it. So we get the first one is like, it wasn't your fault. It wasn't a deliberate thing.
No, not you, man. Not you.
The second one was Thawne whispered in your ear, it was me, Wally. I did it. And then the last one is this one that Zach mentioned, which is that it ends up being this cyclical loop where Wally ends up having to, like, he has to release this energy to save the Speed Force, and he ends up stuck back at that moment in Sanctuary with Roy, and he has to do it, but then there's also a him there. So like the whole thing is this secular, it's both an accident and also like a natural event in history that must occur kind of thing. So they've had kind of 3 cracks at making it so that Wally didn't just kill a bunch of people in like a mental health crisis.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
I think that the current Flash arc, that one with the sort of Speed Force energy and the explosion and that sort of cycle of time thing that Zach was talking about, that's my favorite one of those. It makes the most sense. It's a very Flash thing. It's like Barry being the lightning that struck himself kind of thing. Like that sort of idea is in lots of Flash comics.
Which one's best? Sorry, go ahead.
I do like it when they use the Speed Force somehow in the stories. Those always seem very interesting.
Yeah.
Which one works best for the character?
Probably that one.
Yeah.
Because he has this sort of moment in Frozen Time where he's talking to Roy, Arsenal, who dies at Sanctuary, and Wally's got all this guilt about having killed his friend. And Roy's like, if you don't do this, the Speed Force explodes and the universe dies. So make it happen, man. And Roy kind of takes the choice out of his hands. I think he like fires an arrow at whatever is kind of holding time still. And he's like, see you on the other side kind of thing, and makes it happen. So it's a little bit out of Wally's hands. They get this emotional catharsis that they didn't get to have about him being responsible for Roy's death. I think that it's the one that finally works. And I think we don't have to go back to Sanctuary anymore now.
Yes.
Is my perspective.
Is Sanctuary the mental health place for like, okay.
That was Heroes in Crisis.
The one that they like, they kind of fucked it up.
They sort of only invented so they could kill everyone there. But it wasn't like it existed for like 10 years in comics and everyone was like, yeah, I know Sanctuary. It's like Star Labs or like...
Because it would be cool. And it was
such a good concept.
And they just didn't do anything with it.
Staging a murder mystery in a place like that, I was like, I hate this.
Yeah. That seems like the general consensus.
I really hated it.
Yeah.
But, what can you do?
Well, it exists now, so maybe they can return to it. And
I want a new version of that idea to pop up. A different Sanctuary.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, let's go to the next question from Hey-ha! Braydon. Yes, the donkey rises, who asks, this is a very serious podcast, Zach. I don't know why you're laughing.
Award-winning.
Yeah, award-winning, very prestigious art podcast. Who asks, whatever happened to Lex Luthor's redemption arc as a member of the Justice League? Yes, I know he started out blackmailing Bruce Wayne by threatening to expose Batman's identity, but didn't he have a stint where he was the new Superman after New 52 Superman died?
Yeah, I mean, he totally did. What did you think of that turn for Lex? Where
I mean, you just want to get rid of Lex, so
well, I know, but
That's right.
but he's recognized the fall.
Yes, error of my ways.
Yeah, it's a redemption story for you now. Tell us.
Yeah, what did you think of the hero turn for Lex?
It was interesting. I mean, it was something different, and I feel like it was something that you knew they were going to go back to him being evil eventually. So it's also kind of interesting to see how they do that. I mean, I like him better as a villain, of course, but it didn't bother me.
I think a thing that worked for him in that hero turn was that it wasn't like a total change of heart for Lex. It was that in that moment, something kind of clicked for him where that sort of challenge Superman has always posed to him, which is like, you say you want to be like the greatest man on the planet, that you're the best version of humanity or whatever. It's like, do it,
prove it.
And he does. He
correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't there was another version maybe of Lex from another planet that had said, hey, Superman is gone. You kept saying you cure cancer, you do all these things. If he was gone, now he's gone. Why don't you do those things?
Yeah.
Somebody said that to him, but I can't remember where.
or it was the other Superman, because we were getting the pre-Flashpoint Superman back in at around that time, because New 52 Superman died. Lex got his cape and then remodeled his armor to be blue and red. He wore the S.
Oh, wow.
Like Lex was the Superman of Metropolis for a bit. And then both he and the pre-Flashpoint Superman were for a bit. And then they sort of retconned New 52 Superman and the pre-Flashpoint Superman into one Superman. But yeah, I mean, it did feel like it worked. Like Lex would do something, he'd still be smug about it or whatever. But it was like, for some reason, the argument finally clicked. The thing that Superman had been challenging him to do for decades in comics, so it actually sunk in for him there, and I liked that. And to Zach's point about he was always going to go back again, I think the real masterstroke of he was in the Justice League, he was Superman. The masterstroke of making him a villain again was it didn't undercut the sincerity of him being a hero. It was never just like, oh, I'm bored, blah, blah, blah. It was that Lex got this vision that the multiverse was actually supposed to be something else. For maybe the first time in Lex's life, he actually has like a spiritual moment where he believes in a higher calling and a higher purpose, and that purpose is doom. And he pledges himself, like he pledges like fealty. Lex bends the knee to Perpetua because he's like, I believe in this. And that's a real, I think that was the only real way out of that, right? It doesn't make his hero turn less sincere, but he was like, I was presented with something I could not deny.
It's always the better deal with Lex, like the Justice League at the time with Superman gone was a better deal. Perpetua was a better deal. And then of course he ended up, screwing himself in the end, but it was very organic.
The Batman Who Laughs screws him out of his position as like lieutenant for Perpetua, and he immediately turns coat, joins back with the heroes in that to fight the Darkest Night.
Jeez. Yeah,
you're right. It's always the better deal with Lex, but I thought that was interesting. I liked him as a hero. I thought it worked. He was never like, airplanes are still a very safe and efficient means of travel. He wasn't like doing the Superman thing. He would be like, don't do this stupid thing again, but I did save you. Like,
it just feels like it can't work with Lex. Like he can never be good. Like
I think long term, you're right. But I do think it's kind of weird lightning in a bottle. Like, I do think they kind of got something magic there for a little bit.
I think it's important to show him that he can't be good, but I think it would need to be with like a sharp turn back, and I don't think it has been. And
that was that Perpetua turn, is that he was like, no, like I am a hero. I'm my version of a hero. I'm Lex Luthor. And then he just gets this vision of, we're talking like scales of planes of existence bigger than him, and he was like, oh fuck,
his father had been involved with something that he discovered that he was kind of continuing on, or is that a separate?
No, that's part of it. You're right. Yeah, in the Scott Snyder, like Jorge Jimenez Justice League run, you discover that as a kid Lex had encountered his father's experiments on a kid Jean-Jean's.
Oh god.
So like the Martian Manhunter and Lex have this history now. And it was all tied to this idea of the totality and Perpetua's power and the multiverse and that. So yeah, it was almost like Lex has a very weird spiritual moment that shakes him out of it. And it's a weird moment for Lex because, he's a man of science. He's a man of math and material things and stuff like that. And for him to have this thing where he's like, this is bigger than me and I will bow to it, is like, you're like, oh shit, like we're really up against it, aren't we? Lex is.
Wow.
Yeah, it never undercut his character. I mean, I think even Wonder Woman or Lois Lane would be like, how can we kind of trust this guy? And so there were those discussions.
Yeah.
And he would, still kind of do things on his own that were kind of evil. So
yeah. Or it was like, I saved the day, and LexCorp made a few bucks on it.
Exactly.
But,
Yeah. Wow. All right, let's go to the next question from Mosaic Comics, who asks, is it moral or ethical for the Indigo tribe to force rehabilitation onto people who don't want it? Is it okay because the people being forced to be rehabilitate are sociopathic killers, and Indigo 1 has proven that the process works?
So the Indigo Tribe. That's the compassion lanterns.
Yeah.
The indigo light is fueled by compassion.
Are they associated with Sanctuary?
No.
Because that would be really helpful.
I mean, it might be, but the Indigo Tribe's kind of got this dark side that this question is touching on, which is that everyone in the Indigo Tribe is forced into it. It's not like the Green Lantern rings. Green Lantern rings are like, you have great willpower. We do willpower. Let's get together.
Yeah.
The compassion, like the Indigo Tribe are like, you are notorious killers, murderers, thieves. You have no compassion. We're going to give it to you. And they put the ring on them, and it forces them to feel emotions and try to like emotionally atone for everything they've done.
Wow.
It's basically like a prison.
Jeez.
Like fascist compassion.
Yeah, exactly. Did you in your big scope of reading, how much did you encounter the Indigo Tribe in Indigo 1?
Pretty much just in the Darkest Night, I think, and then she came back up in a story after that. But I liked, how every sort of emotion had a color and a character and everything, and then of course every one of those groups does need their own kind of story. So that was interesting, because of course compassion, you think, is like going to be the team that just there's all about empathy, and then there's kind of this stain on it that makes you think. So it was interesting.
There's an interesting layer to it too, where Indigo 1 is the first Indigo Tribe member, the first Indigo Lantern. But the Indigo Core is basically created, like the central power battery in that, they're created by Abin Sur, the Green Lantern who preceded Hal Jordan, the alien who dies and Hal gets his ring. Abin Sur and this other alien, Nostromo, discover the Indigo light. Abin Sur is like, I have an idea of how this can work for the benefit of the universe. And he goes to the serial killer that killed his family, whose name is Irok, and he forces her into the Indigo Tribe first, and she becomes Indigo 1. So that's the test case. Abin Sur is like, I could kill the person that killed my family, but I will instead force them into this this thing. And it makes it forces her to feel compassion in that. And then even when the ring is removed, she does kind of revert a bit, but ultimately the effect of the compassion on her is noticeable.
Wow.
So the real part of this question is that okay?
I mean, here's the thing. People force people to go to like mental hospitals
therapies,
when they're
So I mean, is the argument that this is just a very aggressive form of therapy? Is this a complete, like, if we take the mindset we were in last week when we were talking about like cops and lawyers, is this beyond the scope of like, okay?
This is like Clockwork Orange therapy.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
A form of torture to force people that do not feel for others to feel for others? Or is, even though you could make the argument that it's for the good of all, like, you're still basically like undoing who they are. Part of who they are is that they don't feel for others.
Well, that's like trying to, like, if there was a pill to like take people with autism and take them off the spectrum.
I think that's where I'm going with this. It feels wrong.
But like, here's the thing. People like, how do you feel about people who like force people to go to get like therapy? Like people who are like are forced into mental institutions.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's its own very complicated thing too. Where
make a decision now. This is how you feel about this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's very complicated too.
Here's the thing: if they're like harming other people, and there is a way to make that better, I see that as like
and it's not just prison; it's almost a form of rehabilitation. But I think there's also that counter argument. That the thing that kicks off that comes to a head in Identity Crisis, when Zatanna started not just erasing memories of villains, but she tampers with Dr. Light. She changes his mind from being this like notorious rapist to being this joke villain that teenagers beat up all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like, and some of the league were like, yeah, we'll go along with this. And the rest of the league were like, no. And it made Batman make Brother Eye because he got paranoid about it. Like, is that right? To me, it feels like it's right in the same zone as that.
If you are physically harming other people with your actions and those people are like minding their own business, I think it's okay.
Because they're not training the person themselves to feel the emotion.
Yeah.
They're forcing them to feel emotions via like this external tool. Isn't it kind of brainwashing?
Well, but in a way, you're forcing them to sort of atone or, have some remorse for all the stuff that they did, because I think that was like, now you have to sort of be aware of all the people you killed.
But also, is it better than just throwing them in one of the science cells on Oa and they just sit there stewing? Like, maybe.
But also, isn't all form of therapy a bit brainwashing, because all you're doing is teaching someone how to think in a way that they hadn't before?
I think therapists would argue that at least in that case, that person is training themselves with guidance as opposed to like being imposed from outside.
But what you're doing is,
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So I mean, I would say that as long as the person is like imposing like pain onto other people who did never tried to like engage with that person, were just like civilians or like, I think it's okay.
Because the Indigo Tribe, they forcibly take Sinestro and induct him. They did it to Black Hand at the end of Blackest Night. They take William Hand.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I think that's fine. I think if there was like a really bad dude who just lived on his own on a planet in the middle of nowhere, but anybody who went there, he was like, well, fuck you, I'm gonna kill you. Right. I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's probably not okay. But that guy's also like only engaging people who were coming to him.
Yeah, it's the construction of the Indigo Tribe makes it so that it is both better than just incarcerating someone and not trying to help them, but also worse than helping them.
But then they didn't have authority to go out. It's not like they're just sort of giving, rehabilitating people. They're then giving them like deputizing them. To go get more.
Yeah, that's right. And then they go find other people and then bring. Yeah, you're right.
Well, and then they need to get more people in the Indigo Tribe, so they need to get more bad people so that they can justify having more people. So then they get more people.
So, sorry, are you becoming an Indigo Tribe truther? That they are creating villains so they have people to induct later?
No, I'm just saying that the line between what is a villain is probably just getting thinner and thinner and thinner.
Yeah, that's a tricky question. I don't think we got a good answer for it.
I think I wore a black hoodie.
Richard has
an
answer. Richard's answer is if you do wrong, you forfeit who you are.
I'm saying that if you
let the record show, Doc scored that Richard was the fascist this time.
I'm just saying that if you're bad, then you're asking for it. That's all.
Jesus Christ. Good Lord.
Yeah, I feel like we solved,
we did it.
The prison system.
We solved incarceration.
Yeah.
Next.
Good work, guys. All right, next question comes from our favorite religious representative.
Chris Chan.
Of course, the one and only Chris Chan.
I hope this question's about whether or not it should be a 1 or 2 state solution in Israel.
Can you name a reverse redemption similar to Walter White? Someone who, given repeated chances of redemption, only to continue to get worse and worse.
Ooh. Oh, that's interesting.
What's Parallax? Not Parallax. Who was Polaris?
Dr. Polaris?
Polaris, maybe. Like he's of two minds.
Yeah,
but he came to mind.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, Dr. Polaris kind of has a split personality thing going on.
I feel like he keeps getting chances.
Who is someone who is given chances at redemption and always, I don't know if they necessarily get worse, but they always fuck them up? I'm tempted to say like Captain Boomerang.
Okay.
Captain Boomerang is like an unrepentant, just drunk and chauvinist. Like even when he's on the Suicide Squad and he works off his prison sentence, He just immediately keeps doing what he's doing. He's like, yeah, it's who I am.
Do you recall the storyline in Suicide Squad where there was a mystery pie thrower? Do you recall this? And it turned out several issues later that it was Captain Boomerang.
Yes, that's right.
And it's like, it couldn't be me because somebody hit me with a pie, but it had a boomerang on it. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's always up to something.
Yeah, I mean, that feels very low stakes, but like, how many chances has he had? Even that chance that he gets in Identity Crisis where he's all washed up and he's like, please, calculator, I just need a job. Like, please, mate, I'll suck your dick. Just give me a fucking villain job. And calculator's fine. Like, kill this random civilian. And he's like, fine, I'll kill him. It's like, I'll kill him to impress my son. It's like, you're still making the wrong choice. Every choice he makes, everything
and then he
does.
ends up killing his son.
No, he doesn't kill his son.
Oh, he doesn't?
But
allows him to be killed.
The random civilian that he tries to kill also, he does kill him, but not before getting killed by that guy. That guy is Jack Drake, Tim Drake's father.
Wow, yeah.
So he dies killing his target.
But I thought there was something where the way he came back had something to do with sacrificing Owen.
Oh yeah, that you might be thinking of like Brightest Day, because Boomerang comes back to life after Blackest Night.
Right.
But like he's a guy who just constantly makes the wrong choice. It feels low stakes. Like it feels like we should be aiming for like a bigger tier villain, but
I mean, you could say Joker. I mean,
well, that is true because he's still alive somehow.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, he does keep getting worse. I guess it's the idea of like Joker was never going to take the other option. Theoretically, Boomerang should at some point be like, "Oh, this is too much for me, mate."
Yeah. I just mean that like they keep thinking that like there's moments where they think that he's rehabilitated. There's moments where
they've definitely done that in. Yeah, you're right. In other
Joker's
stories,
never really been given any responsibility. I feel like Captain Boomerang, even if it's just Suicide Squad, he is given some trust and responsibility to do the right thing.
I mean, the villains try to partner with Joker, and it never works out. And every time they do it, he ends up fucking them over.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I would argue that's maybe one step further than the Walter White thing, because he's unrepentant villain from beginning to end. I mean, you're right.
He's shades of gray.
He has never made the choice otherwise. I mean, very famously, he does not take that choice in The Killing Joke.
Yeah,
that's the end of The Killing Joke. Batman says, like, if we keep doing this, either you'll kill me or I'll kill you. It doesn't have to end that way. Let me help you.
Yeah.
And he goes like, it's too late for me. And he tells that joke about the flashlight.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the end of The Killing Joke is him making that choice.
Yeah.
So yeah,
sure.
I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, shit. Now I'm sad.
All right, let's leave Twitter and head on over to Instagram.
Now we're going to Instagram, take some questions and answer them.
First and only question from Instagram. Well, thank you. You know,
we're award winners.
Yeah. Andrew Delgado, or Delgado Andrew, as Instagram would have us say, asks, when it comes to retcons like the Parallax entity and Thawne's super whispering, do you think that undercuts potential character development, or is it a necessary measure to undo some pretty character breaking moments, or a little of both, maybe?
Right. So the Parallax thing is that when Hal goes crazy, and he destroys the core.
Yeah.
And he takes all that energy and he calls himself Parallax. That was just him taking a new name, and he was like, this is who I am now. I have a different view of the universe.
Yeah.
My name is Parallax. I'm looking at things differently now.
Yeah. Like when you're on my website, some images are going this way, whether when you're scrolling this way. Parallax.
So that was that. The retcon, when he came back to life eventually, was that Parallax is the fear entity that possessed him, that caught him in a moment of weakness and possessed him and sort of exacerbated that and made him succumb to his fear and turned him into that thing. So that was their way of being like, it wasn't really Hal.
Yeah, it's like there's retconning and then there's sort of adding information. And I know it's a different writer and like a different creative team, but like, it's still like, okay, well, here's the information we know. but then taking other elements like the yellow impurity and then tying that in. I thought it was an interesting way to do it. And it led into the Brightest Day stuff.
I mean, if you're Jeff Johnson, you're like, I am bringing back the Silver Age Green Lantern. I'm bringing back Hal Jordan. You do at some point have to cross the bridge of like, he killed a bunch of people and he did like erase the universe that one time.
And then he saved the Earth in Final Night. So I guess that was a bit of.
He did. And kind of maybe to your point about maybe it's not a full retcon, is that Hal a little bit was. Well, I mean, Hal, in a lot of ways, had already been on a redemption arc. So Hal, as Parallax, does sacrifice himself to reignite the sun and save the day in the final night. You're right. And that's after he had destroyed the core. It's after he tried to destroy the universe during 0 Hour. He comes back and he has this one moment of heroism again and does this thing. And then his spirit was the host for the Spectre. And his whole run as the Spectre is about him trying to bend basically like this God purpose that he has away from vengeance and towards redemption. There's that whole issue that we read maybe in the first year of the podcast where he tries to redeem Two-Face.
That's right. Yeah.
And it doesn't take, but he's trying and he's doing it because he's like, I need redemption to be a real thing. But he's basically fighting just the nature of the Spectre, which is about vengeance. So Hal had been doing that for so long that, yeah, maybe you're right. By the time we get to him coming back to life, the idea of like, you were possessed, like you were definitely in a moment of weakness. This was a bad spot for you. You were angry. You might have done something, but you definitely did it because of this. Maybe that doesn't not make sense. You know, like, I kind of see it. What do you think? Or the idea of like, the the Thawne one that got mentioned is that like Barry was like, oh, I grew up, I was so awkward, nothing ever worked out for me, and that's it was me, Barry. And you find out that Thawne's just been running back in time and fucking with him for his whole life, where he just like trips
Don't apply for college.
Yeah, trips him, or like, you'll never get into that one, or like just like, don't ask her to the dance. Like Thawne's just been fucking with him with like whispering at super speed.
That's stupid.
That's a silly idea.
That's dumb. I think that in Hal's case, I think it's short of like major retconning, like Speed Force bullshit. There's no like. I think it's unfair for them to be like, and Hal's fine. That's not his fault.
Right.
Like that's bullshit. I think that should change that character forever. Like,
yeah.
But I did like that it took so long. It wasn't like the next year he's back. I mean, it was a few years.
Yeah,
for sure.
Gone.
Yeah.
We've sort of had a version of this question before, which is like, is Hal still responsible? Even including that Parallax retcon where he's sort of like possessed by the fear entity. Like, how responsible is Hal for the damage he caused as Parallax?
That's just like saying like, I was drunk, it's not my fault. Like, I think like,
I'm inclined to agree with you.
It may heighten those emotions, but you're still making a decision based on like heightened emotions.
Sure. Yeah.
But I will say just the fact that he lost Coast City, and I mean, emotionally, you can kind of see how he would have been weak at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. Yeah. But I mean, it's the same thing as like saying like, I think like even with the Indigo Tribe, like getting that ring just like shows you compassion. It doesn't force you to be compassionate. It just gives you the ability.
Well, actually, in that case, it does.
Well, I mean, it gives you it forces you to reckon with that emotion, but it doesn't make you do good. Just like giving him be infected with fear or whatever, like that doesn't make him do those actions.
Yeah, if a bunch of legitimately bad things happen to you and then you make self-destructive choices because you're spiraling,
it's not those things' fault.
It's not. Yeah, you're still the one that did those things, even though it's even understandable. Maybe. Yeah. I think you're right. There's maybe like a line between understanding what Hal became and like completely absolving him of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's sort of where I land, where it's like, no, he still has a lot of work or redemption to go.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's fair. I like that.
All right, let's leave Instagram and head on over to Reddit,
where everyone's nice and no one's ever mean.
That's right. The only question from Reddit comes from the Almighty Llama, who asked, but that doesn't sound almighty.
I don't know, man.
Make it sound almighty. Thank you. That's much better. Oh, God. I'm filled with the feeling of almighty.
That's like a nice, easy to listen to drop, too. It doesn't just blow out people's earbuds or anything.
Like what? The Almighty Llama asks, is Pied Piper's redemption still canon? If so, is he still a personal friend to Wally West?
Have we talked much about Pied Piper?
I know the name, but I don't know much.
Well, he is on my list of redeemed characters.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, why don't you give like the quick rundown then of who Pied Piper is for the people listening?
Sure. He was one of the original Rogues Gallery enemies of the Flash, Barry Allen the Flash. And then by the time Wally West comes around, it turned out that he was from a rich family who was really just kind of a Robin Hood. You know, he would rob from rich people and give it to poor people. And so he was kind of back on the straight and narrow. And I want to say the first homosexual DC character.
Hell yeah.
Oh, that's tricky.
That's cool.
Open?
If not
Open.
If not the first, he's one of the early ones. Yeah.
Definitely. So he comes out to Wally and they're best friends. And then he is tempted by the dark side a couple more times. But, you know, it's true. He hasn't really been mentioned in a while. And I feel like he's still out there. I feel like him and Captain Singh are still an item. But yeah, we haven't heard from him in a while.
Yeah, I think we got some of him through the New 52. Yeah, because he and Captain Singh are a couple in the comics. I mean, the answer about canon is that technically post death metal,
right?
Everything has happened. So I think we can safely assume that where we sort of saw him last sort of merged with where he was in the previous one. Like, he's probably generally good. He's probably still out there, probably with Captain Singh. You know, we just haven't checked in a while.
Yeah.
But hopefully, because this Flash series now is about Wally as the Flash, Barry's off doing multiverse
so glad
adventures.
Wally's back.
Hopefully, we'll bring him back in because he was a pretty big supporting character of the Wally West Flash run. Hartley Rathaway, whose power is he's like the Pied Piper. He has this flute, but he can sort of mind control people. And you learn at some point that it's because he's channeling a small piece of the anti-life equation.
What?
The Pied Piper, this random Flash character, is like wielding one of like the most insane like powers in DC.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But yeah, he was redeemed. Yeah. He was. You've learned that all of the bad things he did were like two people that kind of deserved it. It was that sort of. What
part of the equation is it? Just like sadness?
Yeah,
like,
he just picks a little bit of it.
Yeah, it's the plus sign. That's all.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I hope we do see him again. I assume we will. You know,
still a personal friend of Wally West.
I assume he is, but again, we haven't checked in.
Yeah.
And certainly not since Wally has been back in the picture. We haven't seen Wally and Pied Piper together.
Not since death metal, yeah.
Not even since Wally came back in Rebirth in 2016. I don't think we've seen them lock eyes or talk or anything since then, unless I'm missing something.
I'd love to see a lot of characters from that Wally West run. You know, like there's Chunk, there's the Russian Flashes that we haven't heard from since the 80s. What are they up to? What's Lady Flash doing?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I would love to see all of those things. Yeah, I think we've got a good opportunity for some of these characters that people that like mean a lot to people because like for 20 years that was their run of Flash or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to see some of those back. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to our final place of questions. That's the Docscord.
Oh,
Docscord.
Hang
You
on.
just use the words and you make a song.
Hang
It's
on.
a doc scored.
I said hang on.
Well, I don't understand. You should just have it locked and loaded because you got all the time to prepare, and you never do. You just got to think of a song, any song at this point, because we've even dropped the classic rock thing. You just got to think of a song.
I'm giving up my dogs, but don't dogs my dog scored shoes. I froze so badly on the 80s, I had to go back to the 50s.
Yeah, wow. And as you've said many times, a better time.
Next week, I'm just going to be doing like Glenn Miller riffs or something.
I've seen a dog. Yeah, oh yeah. Like a rhinestone duck scored.
Yeah. Or I'll do like, it'll be like green sleeves. Be like, this is from the 1600s.
Your mom would love it.
It's from 1580.
Yeah.
Here we go. Dog scored.
Oh, dog scored. The dogs are dogs.
I mean, that's a good point. I should have been doing public domain songs the whole time.
I know. We would have really saved ourselves from all those lawsuits.
Yeah.
Yeah. We won that award, but it's really netted zero because we have to really pay back all that money.
Yeah.
Still not going to stop. All right. First question from the doc scored is, of course, a Bruno. Our very wonderful Portuguese Irish accent.
Yeah. There you go.
It's a Bruno.
Yeah. What does a Bruno?
It's a spicy question from a Bruno.
Italian too now.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Is redemption a concept that is baked into superhero story archetypes? A very American sense that you can do better and be better, even if you weren't always good.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's like pro wrestling. You know, it's like at a certain point you got to change things up. There's a face turn. There's a heel turn. That's my
yeah.
Hell yeah.
It does seem in comics you're always going to get a lot more face turns than heel turns, generally.
Yeah.
I think it's also a thing, you know, like we talked about, where they literally have to publish these every month forever. So at a certain point, you can't just be like, Two-Face is knocking over a bank again. You gotta be like, yeah, maybe this time Harvey takes over or something. Like, you gotta have to you have to change it up. But also, it feels like it's more. Feel like in the evolution of comics and also the evolution of how we like consume media, we are no longer really content with the idea, with too much of the idea that things are like immutable, that you are 100% good or 100% evil. It's why we like characters like Loki or whatever. It's like he does bad, but he's misunderstood, and we love him. We can fix him. Like,
but I think
I think that's like society getting better, where it's not just like
black and white,
like you're irredeemable, fuck you. And he's like, I got acid thrown in my face, I'm Two-Face. Now we're like, oh yeah, shit, that probably messed you up, huh? But back then they were like, whatever.
I think we'll always be obsessed with the idea of pure evil, though.
Yeah,
I think that's never going to go away. I mean, that's the reason why people love those like crime podcasts, and
I don't think we're done with it, but I do think those characters where it was like, well, what's evil about them, and they're like, they look ugly, like the shit like that from the 50s. I think now we look at those characters and you're like, that they're not really evil. They're not like Darkseid. There's like Darkseid and Joker and like Anton Arcane. There's characters that are like just full immutable evil. And then there's a character like Poison Ivy who's like, maybe we should stop killing plants. And you're like, she's kind of right.
Shut up, cuck.
You know, like,
but you like having those characters that you can kind of root for, like the Hound in Game of Thrones.
Sure.
You know, like you still have these very evil characters, but it's like you sense something good every now and then in somebody who had a rough past or something.
Yeah.
So you like seeing them.
I think that's why they're not, I don't think it's baked in. I think it's a case by case scenario, depending on obviously the character, the whoever the like main featured character of that is. And I think depending on how viewers or readers perceive that character, I think it's dependent. Like, I don't think anybody would ever be okay with Joker just becoming good.
Nope.
Like, I don't think that would be okay. And it's the reason why I think the Lex thing never really sat well with me.
I'm just fully ignoring the like Sean Gordon Murphy White Knight.
But I think overall,
I agree with you generally, though. There are characters that are just it wouldn't feel right, and I don't think there's a way out for them.
Yeah,
like the ones I mentioned, your Darkseids, your Anton Arcanes, your Jokers. I think a lot of characters have like at least one. Like I would make the argument, Shadow Thief for Hawkman. Never coming back, or Half Set probably.
What about Thawne?
Half Set is probably a better one. Yeah, Thawne may, in the way that some villains do, may temporarily line up or help out or do it for their own ends, but like Thawne is. I mean,
Thawne is neutral evil. He's very much like in the purpose of what he's trying to do.
They've proven it in the comics that Thawne, even with good intentions or different things, will bend that way. And DC has this interesting. It has this idea that like good and evil are what's the word I'm looking for? Inherent.
Mm-hmm.
And so a character may have a very long career of doing bad, but that there's like an inherent good in them.
Like Harley Quinn.
Like a Harley, like Catwoman, like things like that. And then there's characters who maybe do good or maybe back off or maybe forswear it for a bit, but in their heart of hearts, they're bad. Like Thawne, like Arcane, like
Lex Luthor, yeah.
Luthor, you can make the argument. Yeah, exactly. Like I think there are those, Joker, there are those characters. And DC has this interesting thing where they're like, we've got this kind of cadre of people who are right now, they're operating on the wrong side of who they are. These guys are, these are bad guys, but they're good in their soul. That's where like a book like Suicide Squad works, where it's like, these are people that do bad, but look at them saving the day,
Just because we are bad guys does not make us bad guys.
There's that sort of thing. And then there's also people where it's like, oh no, you belong over there. Like Ma'ala Fa'ak, like characters like that. So it's kind of interesting to see the juggle of that.
I think at the end of the day, to answer the question, I don't think that it is baked in. I don't think like every villain with enough time will become good. I don't think that that's the case. I don't think it's like it's the archetyped. I think it's more of a case by case scenario. But as like society gets better, I think people want to at least see that thing is possible. And so we may see it more, but I don't think it'll ever be a guarantee.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, that Bruno pitches it as like a very American idea. The idea of like you can be better and you can do that yourself.
Yeah.
Because I do think that's a thing that like Americans and Canadians are sold.
Yeah.
Which is like, you can be better, you could do better, and it's all up to you. Please ignore our structural failings in making that a reality for you. Like, there is sort of an element of that that's kind of true. Yeah.
It's a very Western sort of concept. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's move to the next question from lovely Miss Long, who asks, Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. Both of these ladies were first members of Gotham's crimiest and now living life in loving bliss. Do we believe they are both redeemed for their like wrongs, or have they committed crimes too unforgivable? Why are we all so happy they have found love together?
I mean, I want to jump in right off the start and say, I believe 100% that Harley and Ivy, in their heart of hearts, are good and want to do good.
Yeah.
I also think that's different from whether or not they have redeemed themselves.
Yes.
Sure.
100%. Like I think you can earnestly believe that Harley is good and is doing good and be like, there's, to borrow a MCU quote, there's a lot of red in that ledger. you know, like.
Well, it does seem like she's specific, at least for the moment, a good guy. She's helping Batman to the point they had to introduce another Harley Quinn character in the sense of like a Punchline.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Punchline has taken her place as the Joker sidekick slash squeeze, you know.
Do you think
she's not funny?
No, she's not, which is sort of the irony of Punchline, that she's not clowny like Harley. She's deadly serious, and that's actually, it makes her more dangerous than Harley ever was. Yeah.
Do you think Harley's going to get like a superhero name at some point?
Well, I mean, she kind of does. Harley Quinn is her because her name is Harleen Quinzel.
I know, but that's sort of just a short form. Like, I don't think she's gonna get it. You mean like they'll be like, you're part of the Bat family. Now you get to be like, Diamond Dust or like whatever fucking name they give her or some shit. Like, I don't think so. I think she'll be Harley Quinn. The branding has taken, and that character is huge. I would argue that character is the fourth pillar of DC.
Man, that's a
behind
good argument.
Behind Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman.
Fair, yeah.
Maybe
totally
not
fair.
even behind Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Maybe not even behind Superman.
Yeah, that's crazy. I would say that. Yeah, I think she's definitely not redeemed herself.
Yeah,
I think we are now in a point where we want to keep watching her redeem herself.
The Poison Ivy thing is interesting too, because right now there are actually 2 Poison Ivies out there, which was the thing that happened in that Harley and Poison Ivy book. There's an Ivy that is like all of her. Oh, I'm gonna get this wrong. It's like all of her rage and stuff like that is one Ivy, and then the slightly more empathetic human Ivy is another. I think we've even seen both Ivies in the current run of the Swamp Thing. Yeah. Where the new Swamp Thing has met both the very kind of green connected plant Ivy and also the more kind of like lovey, empathetic, slightly more human.
They're 2 separate
Ivy.
entities.
They're 2 separate entities.
Okay, interesting.
And it was they did tie it back to what happened to Ivy during Heroes in Crisis and stuff too. But essentially, I think there are still 2 Ivies. And so that's an even more interesting scenario where I think both of them are inherently good, but one is way more inclined, I think, to work at it, and the other is like, I don't give a shit if you think I'm redeemed. Yeah. I'm doing what I have to do. I'm not trying to hurt people, but stay out of my fucking way.
And don't hurt plants.
You know, like, I think one of the Ivies doesn't care about redemption, and the other probably does.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, too.
Yeah.
I don't think they have... Well, you know what? I don't think Harley has. I think you have to assume that even between adventures that we see in the comics, that if she was with the Joker for that long, especially someone like the Joker for that long, the stuff Harley must have done or been accomplice to or enabled is horrific.
Yeah.
In a way that Poison Ivy's never was. Ivy's done bad things. Ivy's killed people and stuff, but like she is not Joker level evil, and she never has been. During No Man's Land, she protected the orphan children of Gotham in the park. She was like, I'm going to look after these kids. Like, Ivy has had a long history of doing some good while also fighting for her cause. I think Ivy may at this point actually legitimately be redeemed or mostly redeemed. Harley, I think,
Harley's going to need like a...
Harley, I think, has earned trust, but has a long way to go to claw out of that debt. You know?
She's going to need to do like a crisis level, like save.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Save a planet.
Yeah, she needs to, like roller skate a hammer into the Anti-Monitor's face. Yeah.
Like, I think that would save, that would fully redeem her.
It's a giant mallet right in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think we do like them together, though.
Oh, yeah.
I do, absolutely.
Yeah, I think they bring out the best in each other. You know, what Harley brings to Ivy is like, no, you should care about people too. People are complicated and messy and horrible, but they're also like sources of joy and things like that. And Ivy's like, that's a good reminder for me because I would easily just stay inside with my plants.
Yeah, because you could put any of those 2 characters together, but for whatever reason, they do seem to really be a good pair.
And I think for Harley, like Ivy is this very kind of grounding. She has a purpose and
literally grounding because she's
but she also
rooted.
She's very purposeful. She has a specific aim and a goal, and she knows who she is. And that's a thing that I think for a long time Harley didn't have.
Yeah.
You know, in her kind of history with the Joker, she obviously has it now. But I think they're such a perfect pair. It feels very natural in that way where. For years, it felt like DC was trying to be like, yeah, we kind of know, but let's keep them in separate spheres until it's just become so undeniable. And I think that's when you know that something is like works. Is it's so organic that like you actually can't write your way out of it. Yeah. It's just like this is just what it is. It's like Batman and Catwoman or things like it's like yeah, that's just what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I don't think Catwoman comes up here, but.
I mean, Catwoman, definitely. But Catwoman has the sort of Pied Piper thing where there's a lot of like, she's stealing from the rich. Like, they've got insurance.
Yeah.
She's trying to look after like her friends. And she always lived in this divey part of Gotham. And she was taking care of like stray cats and stray people. And,
yes,
even when she took over the mob and that, she was like doing that thing where it's like, yeah, she ran organized crime, but she could keep it away from vulnerable populations and sort of like, she's always kind of had a sort of Robin Hood kind of thing.
She might
to
just
her too.
be good.
Yeah, I think she always was. And now we finally come around to the era where she lives in that space. She isn't bad. Yeah. She is good. Yeah.
All right. Next question from Mullet Overlord, who asks, what redemption that is widely accepted in canon do you feel is the least earned?
Ooh,
interesting.
A redemption that's least earned.
We were like, yeah, that's a they're good now, and you're just like, really?
I've been fairly satisfied. I mean, I think that they've told these stories fairly well. No one jumps out at me as like, I wish they hadn't changed him or her.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them work well.
I mean, Harley might be the answer. Which is
Do you have a hard time with that one?
Well, I just think that like people are like, and they're good, and I'm just like, well, I mean, like after everything we said, people are trying to just show her as good now.
I think that she makes so much. She sells so much merch. Like they can't have. They needed to kind of tweak her.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
But also, I mean, they did give her lots of runway to get there. Yeah. It wasn't like they introduced her in comics and they were like, she's a hero. Like she had that
whole run where the thing was just that she had dumped the Joker or broken up with the Joker, and she was forming her own team of bad guys. And yeah, that's true.
She had that. There was the Gotham City Sirens thing with Catwoman and Ivy. There was her on the Suicide Squad, which is still you're a bad guy, but now you're doing work for the government. And then it was like we got further and further. They gave her some runway for it. Like contrary to what people will yell at me on the internet, I'm sure, I think Harley's more than earned it.
Well, what about Lex?
The Lex ones, I think, can feel unearned. He's had a few of those kind of face turns over time.
I would say that would maybe be my choice, just because I think part of the struggle with him joining the Justice League is that people like Superman or Batman had seen the worst of Lex, and I don't know if there's, for me, a really great, solid answer.
Red Hood, maybe?
Red Hood? But he got killed,
Yeah. You would have preferred, like, when he comes back as Red Hood to stay kind of outside the Bat sphere, stay kind of violent. But also, like, someone who will kill, because Jason plays by the Bat's rules. Like,
I mean, he did a lot of bad, largely. Right? Like,
interesting. This is a tough question.
Nobody, I think, like, is like a heel turn because it's comics and you've got so much time.
I'll give you one.
Okay.
I'm not even 100% behind my answer here. I'll give you one that I don't know that I thought it. I didn't believe it, but I thought it was weird. The Anti-Monitor.
Oh yeah, okay.
So the Anti-Monitor is the ultimate villain of Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
He's a being so powerful, he destroyed infinite Earths. He's one of the most powerful beings in DC. And the retcon during this whole Perpetua thing leading up to Death Metal is that he and his two brothers are the three monitors of the different realms of existence. There's Mar-Novu, who's the monitor of the positive matter universe, like the main multiverse. There's Mobius, the anti-monitor, who is the monitor of the antimatter universe. And there's Alphaeus, the dark matter monitor, who's the world forger in the dark multiverse. He creates worlds, and if they're stable enough, they rise to the positive matter universe. And his job as the anti-monitor is to make sure none of that energy escapes the positive matter universe. The antimatter universe sort of surrounds it all. But then, because of the machinations of things, the Source Wall ended up doing that job. And he was like, I'm out of a fucking job. Fuck you, Mar-Novu. I'm going to burn the whole motherfucker down. And that's supposed to be like the retcon of like, he's not just performing a cosmic function. He's gone rogue. And that's why like the crisis happened and stuff.
And I also liked that they named the chair after, or they named him after the chair.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, that's where the chair came from.
Because they worked that all in the New 52. But he kind of does like a face turn in the lead up to Death Metal, where he teams up with his brothers, with Mar-Novu, the Monitor, and with Alphaeus, the World Forger, to fight Perpetua. And it doesn't.
Who is their mother?
Who is their mother? And it doesn't fully like work out, but like it's kind of a. I don't even hate it. Like, I like that big cosmic stuff. I think it was fine. I think it made sense. But there's a part of me that's like, so the Anti-Monitor like has like emotions. He joined the Indigo tribe. He became so like personified, like in kind of a way that was weird to me. And that happened a bit in the New 52. It happened a bit in Death Metal. That one was weird. I don't know that I even hate it or that it doesn't make sense, but it stands out as like a Jesus. Like, we're so deep in the cosmic well that like the biggest bad guy of all the bad guys is now like got to team up to fight. Like,
all right. Well, how about, because we have a question that sort of is a piece of what you just said, which is from Macho Picchu, which I'm glad they changed their name to that. That makes me happy. They ask, what's the redemption arc for a villain you disliked the most? So maybe it works, right, but you don't like the redemption story.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure it ends up being a redemption story, but yeah, maybe that's probably up there. Here's the thing we haven't talked about. It's not a specific redemption story where there's one story where it's like, and now they're good. But I've seen it a lot on comic Twitter, and I feel like we have to bring it up. That Deathstroke has sort of become this character that people are like, what a cool anti-hero, and he gets his own series all the time. You're like, yeah, he's a badass, he's a mercenary, and he's a man with a code. And we're constantly forced to either confront or ignore that in the Judas contract he was sleeping with a 15-year-old on purpose.
Yep.
And knowingly and manipulating her and shit like that. And the Deathstroke thing, it's not like they were like, but now he's good, we'll forget about that, chum. Nope. It's just that like comic readers have just been like, but he's so goddamn cool.
My patch.
Like I feel like,
but his music is so good.
Yeah, that's one that I think sits badly with me. I also feel like it's come up a lot on comic Twitter, and I've been looking at a lot of stuff. People like, why are we still writing Deathstroke? Or like, why are we trying to write Deathstroke as anything other than a villain? Yeah. Like, he could be just a mercenary villain, and he's still interesting. It doesn't even undo most of his stories, but like, let's stop trying to make him like, I'll save the world. Like, he doesn't have to be that.
Yeah.
That's one I'll throw out there.
I mean, it's a great one. I love making fun of that one.
What about you guys? Who are villains who maybe did face turns that you're like, I don't know, I don't like this?
I mean, I'll just keep going back to Lex because I don't like that.
You don't like that. You like Lex in that villain lane.
Yeah. And I don't like how long he was, and
because he's done a few times. You know, he gets pardoned and then he becomes president, and then he falls.
President's
from that,
okay. Like, I like when it's just like, well, we're waiting for it. We're waiting for the turn. But when it's just like, and I'm good now, and I don't like that.
Right. So the president thing, you knew that there was the other shoe was going to drop.
That was okay. I'm like, he's in a position of power. I'm like, he's white and Lex Luthor. It's going to go bad.
Yeah, sure. Right. That's fair. Okay. So I got Deathstroke. You got Lex. Zach, is there one that stands out for you?
Not really.
That Hal thing also, I'd never added up for me. I think that's I think it's just like my city. Yeah. Oh no. I'm like, all right, like
Hal's it on your shit list.
Yeah. I'm not into it.
Yeah. No one comes to mind.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, I think a lot of them have been done relatively well.
Yeah.
Maybe the ones that haven't been done well were just easily forgettable too.
Totally.
Is the other piece of that.
Also
but
true.
Yeah.
I really like this next question from I keep having to not say the Canadian word here, but Yo Crow, it's Scarebro. I keep wanting to call it Scarborough.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Yo Crow, it's Scarebro, who asks, do you think Mr. Freeze was redeemed in the Batman Beyond episode featuring his return? Though he turned to revenge and crime, he did it for the right reasons. Does that deserve redemption? I don't remember this at all.
I didn't see that episode.
Yeah.
So by the time of Batman Beyond, Mr. Freeze is just like a Futurama head on a spider body.
That makes sense.
But what's his name? Fucking, I can't remember his first name, but Powers, the guy who is secretly Blight, but he runs kind of Neo Gotham and he runs like Wayne Corp and stuff. He's a bad guy. They make Mr. Freeze like a new like genetic body, like a biological body to insert his mind into, and but they do it for nefarious purposes, or I can't remember the full plot of it. But ultimately, Mr. Freeze sort of says no to that, and saves Batman, and takes down the bad corporation and stuff like that, but it at the cost of his own life.
Yeah,
and he sort of saves the day that way. Mr. Freeze is interesting because it's like none of that really makes up for any of the crimes he committed. You know what I mean? Like we always knew why he committed the crimes and they were for a quote unquote good reason.
Yeah.
He's an interesting one because it was like, yeah, like maybe he was inherently good. One of these characters inherently good, but driven to bad. But like none of that redresses any of the stuff he did.
No,
he didn't like turn leaf and then start doing good or start atoning for people he had killed or hurt.
Even
he
when
just one time saved Batman.
He even got his wife back at one point and it didn't change anything.
But it wasn't like he was doing these sort of philanthropic things. It was all sort of self-serving stuff.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I'm inclined to say no, it didn't redeem him, but with the proviso that we always knew that in his heart he was just this wounded man, like not evil, but just damaged.
Preach.
But yeah, I don't think that redeemed him.
No, I don't think so either.
A redemption thing would be more like, it needs to tie back to.
He brings everyone's dead wives back to life.
It needs to he finally cures that fucking disease, or like all of the things he did finally pay off. Like more of that kind of shit is the redemption thing, not just like I saved Batman once and that's
not even redemption. That's just the ends justified the means, which is
that's true too. Which is also that's a deep dark rabbit hole. Yeah,
yes,
that's a fair point.
Yeah, I don't think so. All right, a couple more questions here.
Sure.
The next one from Dan Dunn. We've only just Dan Dunn, who asks, has any villain done something so dastardly they could never be redeemed? Is there a character who hasn't yet but would make sense for them? Ooh, I like this. This is a good question. Has anyone done something so bad, like fuck a 15-year-old?
I was just gonna say it. Yeah, I mean Joker.
Yeah, 100% Joker.
The graveyards at Gotham filled with just Joker victims.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, a lot of the Batman villains in general are pretty bad.
Yeah.
Who was the one? It was during the Azrael thing where somebody had put a person on top of a bed of spikes and then like put weights on them and like left clues for Batman to. Do you remember this? And then he never found him, so the guy just got killed.
Oh, shit. I don't remember that, but I like that. God, that feels like some fucking
Saw shit.
Yeah.
It was whoever Azrael was hunting during that arc, and I can't remember.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah. Oh, right. Interesting. Who has done something so bad? I'm trying to think of like a character that's done one thing so bad they can't come back. You know what I mean? But Darkseid is just always evil in the way the Joker is just always. I'm trying to think of someone who like.
What about
like kind of bad, and then they do one thing where they can't come back. So you're talking about the Zanchi thing?
Yeah, I mean he's the good guy.
Yeah. So John Stewart, good guy, and it's during Final Night. He and Martian Manhunter go to Zanchi to stop.
Or Cosmic Odyssey, isn't it?
Cosmic Odyssey. Sorry, yeah, not Final Night. You're right. Cosmic Odyssey. They go to stop this, thing from happening, and he basically like sidelines Martian Manhunter. It says like, "I got this," and then he shows up, and this bomb that's going to destroy the planet is all yellow, and he's like, "Yellow, my weakness," and the planet blows up.
Yeah, and
it's like if Martian Manhunter had been there, they'd have been fine. But it was like his pride and his hubris and his arrogance. Destroyed a whole planet, and he had to deal with the fallout of that for many, many years. Writers love going back to it.
Fatality shows up,
but I would argue that he must be redeemed because Fatality is a survivor of Zanchi, and then they eventually have a romance.
Yeah,
he wanted to kill him, and then they come around.
It feels like John has definitely dealt with that as a character, and come through it as much as he can.
Yeah. Who's done something so... I mean, it's not worse than anything any other character has done, but in terms of like story, this is the thing that will make this guy a villain forever, is that Aquaman killed Black Manta's dad.
Oh.
And for Black Manta, he's you can Black Manta's only thing is to kill Aquaman.
Yeah.
And he will never forgive him, and he'll never forget. It's one thing, and from the perspective of Black Manta, Aquaman can't do nothing to redeem himself.
Yeah.
So maybe not like generally, like as readers, but that's one that kind of comes to mind. For Black Manta, nothing will ever undo that. And that's the totality of his life. When Aquaman was dead, Black Manta like hung it up. He like started working at a fish market. And the instant that he heard Aquaman was back, he grabbed his knives, killed a bunch of people, and walked into the sea. Like he was like back to work.
Wow.
So for him, Aquaman cannot be redeemed from that one.
Yeah.
Thing.
What about Cyborg Superman for destroying Coast City?
Right. Yeah, I mean that's definitely absolutely. I mean, totally solidifies him as like just a full irredeemable villain.
Yeah, and he has his reasons, but like he's pretty extreme.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, you're right. Cyborg Superman, Destruction of Coast City is a really good one.
So what about a character who hasn't yet been redeemed, but it would make sense, like it's time for them to be redeemed now?
Yeah, interesting. Whose turn is it? Who's due?
Black Adam could do like something that really makes him. He's always been a great character, but especially with the movie coming out, maybe it's time to.
Yeah,
I think
he recently joined the Justice League.
He's getting his shot. Superman has said like we need different perspectives on the Justice League. I think you have been misunderstood too long. I want to give you a shot. Yeah, Black Adam's on the Justice League right now.
Has Cheetah ever?
Oh God, yeah. I mean. That's a great one. Cheetah is one of those characters who
her past keeps getting rewritten though.
Yeah, but especially because Wonder Woman is her adversary. Wonder Woman only wants to offer her a shot at redemption, and sometimes she takes it, and sometimes she doesn't, and sometimes she takes it for a bit, and then something makes her paranoid, and she goes back again. Yeah, Cheetah's a great one for that, but I don't know.
DC's just like, please no, we got one good villain for Wonder Woman. Don't make me go back to Paper Man.
I don't think Cheetah will. I say this, but I don't think Cheetah will ever get the full rehab.
Yeah,
I don't think she'll get the Harley treatment. I think Cheetah will always. Sometimes the interests align, or sometimes Wonder Woman gets through to her, or sometimes she's depowered, or sometimes it's whatever. But like, I don't think she'll ever go all the way around.
What about Floronic Man?
Jason Woodrue. Interesting.
I can see that.
Floronic
I feel like, did he kind of have a bit of or it looked like he was gonna.
Oh, he's a constant thorn in the side, you know. Interesting. I mean, he's shown up. He's seized control of the Parliament of Flowers, which was not exactly a good guy move.
Yeah.
He's shown up, I think, briefly in this Swamp Thing run.
Because for Swamp Thing to have like a buddy would be kind of cool for a bit. Like,
yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
but I feel like that could be Poison Ivy.
I guess it's just like, has Floronic Man done anything so bad that he couldn't be? Because it doesn't seem like.
I mean, I'm not fully remembering that Reefer Madness arc, but I can't remember if it was implied that he was also sort of like sexually harassing or oppressing Poison Ivy.
Oh boy.
But he was definitely forcing her to work for him.
He didn't take her flower, did he?
I don't think so, but I don't remember. That's an interesting one to pull up, though. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a good villain who hasn't had a shot at it.
I know, right?
I wonder if you... Oh, man. Do you know a character who I think has maybe the best face turn, and I would love to see something similar happen to a different character, is the Shade. The Shade got this cool face turn where he was a villain, but he was almost like kind of like, yeah, I was sort of doing it, but I was sort of bored of it because he just lives forever. And he kind of was like, yeah, I did it for a bit, but whatever. Sometimes I help, sometimes I hurt. But he had this great sort of he would help Starman in that Starman series. Yeah. The Shade became this great supporting character that was like neither here nor there, but generally good kind of thing. And they're doing it really well on Stargirl right now. I wonder if there's a character that would suit that sort of thing really well. Like I think I want the Riddler to have that. But the Riddler, when he did get his face turn, he was like, I'm cured, I'm not evil anymore. He was just boring.
He's just like solving crosswords.
I want a Riddler who is like, I get it. Like, I got beaten. Like, I can't beat the Bat. And then from there he goes, I mean, that was the only reason I was doing that. What else can I do? And he sort of just wanders. And it's not like he's like a hero, like punching thugs or something, but like just like the Shade, just someone that sort of wanders through and someone's like, oh, I really could use your help. And he goes like, fine, I'll help you here. And he sort of just does like the traveling, like Incredible Hulk kind of like help people town to town thing.
Is Cluemaster still alive?
He's probably alive again. He died pretty brutally during Batman Eternal, but he's probably alive again.
Because it seems like, I mean, just with Stephanie involved in the Bat family, maybe he could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good call too.
I think I have it.
Okay.
Gentleman Ghost.
Okay.
Dude, that's funny because I get Gentleman Ghost mixed up with the Shade.
Yeah, because I had the very similar looks, you know, the cane, the top hat, the nice cloak.
Gentleman Ghost has been on the Injustice Society, he's been on Suicide Squad, like is heading towards that, right? Like,
yeah, it'd be interesting if like it turned out that he wasn't being kept alive because he was tied to the Hawks. He was being kept alive because he hadn't
unfinished business.
He hadn't learned his lesson.
Yeah.
And then when he does his heel turn, he finally gets the piece he's been denied.
Yeah. Unfinished business.
Love it.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
I like that. Yeah.
Write that book.
All right, I'm on it. Last question comes from Butt Fart Butt.
Oh.
Who asks,
good sir.
So wow.
Your table is this way.
Yeah. Who asks, is there a way for John Constantine to be redeemed, or is he just borrowing time until he ultimately winds up in hell? Because that's kind of the point, right? Like, he's supposed to be redeeming himself. Isn't the whole thing a redemption story?
And Constantine is, he's a shortcut man.
Yeah.
And he'll deal with the problem later kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Newcastle incident where in trying to prove what a big magician he was, he accidentally condemns the soul of this child, Astra, to hell. Mm-hmm. And he has to live with that. And then when he's trying to do good, during like Crisis and stuff like that, he ends up basically being responsible for the death of Giovanni Zatara, Zatanna's father. And he's got to live with that.
Is Zatanna's last name Zatara?
Yeah.
It's Zatanna Zatara?
Yeah.
That's right.
What an awful name.
Fuck yeah.
Does Zachary Zatara still exist?
Zachary Zatara is probably still out there. Yeah.
God, but those Zatara potatoes are delicious.
What?
Zatar.
Oh, is that a type of potato?
Yeah, it's a spice.
I'm not up on my potatoes.
It's a Middle Eastern dish.
Oh, I see.
It's
Okay. Constantine, though, like he's done the sacrifice play a couple of times.
Has he ended up in heaven yet?
I mean, that's the thing in the movie, right?
Yeah.
Where that they use where he has, his soul's definitely going to hell, but he commits this selfless sacrifice to save the day and stop the plot, and that sacrifice, like the Lucifer tries to take him, and that's where he like the floor kind of buckles under him, and he can't because God's like, nope, that was you're redeemed.
And he's like, sweet, I'm gonna eat some Popeye's chicken,
and he's flipping him off on his way into heaven. Like that's that kind of cool bit in that movie that I like. Who was that you were doing?
It's Little Nicky.
Oh Jesus,
it's a great movie.
Is it?
Oh yeah, that is Little Nicky is a great movie. That's basically how that ends.
Constantine sacrificed himself during the Justice League Dark run against the Upside Down Man and stuff. I think he does. I think Constantine does come around to it. Yeah,
he always just kind of maybe he seems like he fucks up a lot, whether it's because it's what has to happen or it's not on purpose. But he definitely means to do the right thing,
or he gets in over his head and he's like, "Oh,
exactly.
It's all right, love." I got it. Yeah. I do think he's made the sacrifice play a few times though, and
I think long term he will end up in heaven.
And frankly, I mean, it's almost like a meta commentary thing. Constantine was on his own in his Vertigo book for so long, and even though he was technically tied to Swamp Thing, and therefore technically tied to DC, it wasn't really until the New 52 where they were like, "Yeah, Constantine is like part of this.
He's one of our boys.
He can do stuff with other people now."
He technically is part of the canon before that, but that was really when they were like, "Oh, he's in there."
And it's not really until you even like map out the universe that it's like, well, there's heaven and hell. Constantine's got to be in there.
And the meta thing there is that like being around the capes, as he calls them, I do think brings out the good in him.
Yeah.
Working with Zatara, being part of the Justice League Dark. I think he, against his better judgment, he's like, "Oh, I'm no superhero," or whatever. Then he's like, "Oh, bleed now," and he gotta
Yeah.
I think it does bring the good out in him.
I also like your like hooligan voice.
I only have like 4 voices.
I know. It's good. It's good. It's good. I like him. Yeah. Well, that was the last question. But we're not done yet.
Oh my God.
It's time for everyone's favorite game. Can you guess the name of the character based on who someone does not read comic books can describe that character to us?
Ooh.
If you don't know how this goes, I send a photo of a DC character to my wife slightly before we started recording, and she sends back 4 clues describing what she sees. She does not read comic books, nor does she care for them. Can our guest, Zach, and the doctor guess who we're referring to based on these 4 clues?
Oh, boy.
Interesting. And so wait, so she's only seen a picture of this person.
Yeah, yeah. I just send her like a rant, and I basically just
the clues are only ever about the picture because she doesn't know the characters, so she can't reference their powers or anything beyond what she can see in the picture.
And I usually just look up a name of a character, then pull any Google photo that I can find of that character. So depending on that era that I choose, it
sometimes the clues are helpful, sometimes they're not.
Sometimes they're really not.
Yeah. Is tonight one of those nights?
Sometimes they're just like, this character loves to eat ice cream, and it's like a one shot where they're like eating ice cream. So let's see. No, it's not tonight. Tonight we're okay. I think. There may be a generational thing, I will say, like an era version.
Sure.
You need to be concerned about.
All right.
But that's it. All right. 4 clues. Are we ready for our first clue?
Yeah, let's do it. You can guess as many times as you want.
Yes.
There's no rules other than trying to guess it.
The only rules, there's no rules. Except for that I won't answer questions.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a rule.
Oh, God.
Oh, no. It's all falling apart. First clue. Tie-dye and spandex.
Oh, wow. Tie-dye.
Tie-dye and spandex.
That's correct.
Okay.
Do you want to take a guess?
What was that one group, the Mad Men?
Oh yeah, the Mad Men, the Blue Beetle villains. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the
Oh,
only thing. It's not really tie-dye.
You're right though, very multicolored. I was gonna say Color Kid.
no. And also, we don't call them that.
Color Kid.
Forever People?
No.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Good guess though. No.
All right.
Next clue.
Yeah, let's do another clue.
Facial hair inspired by Guy Fieri.
Facial hair?
I'm thinking of that meme where someone photoshopped Thanos to have the goatee and the flaming shirt, and it's like, you better watch out if he finds the flavor stone.
Yes. So good.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've got tie-dye and spandex, and the facial hair inspired by Guy Fieri.
So
not like-
goatee, sort of.
It's not like Snowflame or something,
No,
is it?
no.
Loose cannon.
Ooh.
No.
Okay.
Uh,
The tie-dye's really throwing me.
Yes.
interesting. Rainbow Raider?
No. Again, we don't call them that.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you need another? You want another clue, Zach?
Is that we've only got 2 so far, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
All
do
right.
it.
Third clue. Psychedelic Earthman.
Snapper car.
No, that's very funny though. Psychedelic Earthman.
It's not Floronic Man.
No.
It's not Geoforce. It's not Terra.
Halo?
No.
Huh.
This will be a one that you'll get mad about.
I will?
Yeah.
Because they're wearing a shirt that they wouldn't normally wear. Maybe.
It's actually not that of the case. I think
Okay.
this is I do believe this is like an era generational thing where it's maybe not their like constant look.
Lex Luthor.
No, that'd be very funny. Yeah, remember that one era where
Yeah.
Free
We gotta go
love,
to-
man.
yeah.
Guy Fieri.
Who were the Habitat people? Weren't they stuck in the 60s? Outside of Metropolis?
Oh.
They lived in the woods and they built it wasn't the Forever People, but they were sort of similar.
Oh shit. I don't know.
Oh wow.
I'm gonna have to brush up on that before next week.
Oh yeah.
Shoot.
We only have one more clue.
Psychedelic does make me want to stick with Kirby for some reason. But who?
I feel like it's maybe a villain, like
Yeah.
a guy that.
Do you want your last clue?
I think I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
final clue.
Okay.
Looks high on E.
High on E.
Oh, it's gonna make you mad.
It's not like elongated man or something.
No.
I'm trying to think of like who would have an E on the Element Lad.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Is it Element Lad?
It's Element
Oh
Lad.
yes. Okay. Nice.
Holy shit.
Because there was that period where he wore the tie-dye shit, right?
Oh fuck yeah. Yeah, right. I was gonna say Element Lad normally just wears green, but yeah, you're right. Shit. Well, yeah, there we go. There he is.
Wow. Jeez. Yeah, that was a weird run where they like joined him up with Brainiac almost. I mean, not literally. But
Holy shit. In under the wire.
Wow.
Jan era.
Yeah, holy shit. There we go. Element Lad.
Yeah.
Yeah, member of the Legion of Superheroes.
That's right.
Good call.
Has elemental transmutation abilities, kind of like Firestorm does. But without having like the other kind of nuclear powers of
And
Firestorm.
he's been a good guy and also, I think, at least once been revealed to be the villain.
Yes, he was, I think. I can't remember the story,
same.
But yeah.
Yeah, it has had a ton of crazy looks to them. Like there was like a full pink outfit with a yellow belt.
The Legionnaires, God. I just keep thinking about that Mike Grell Cosmic Boy outfit where he looks like he's doing Frankenfurter cosplay.
Yeah. Native of the planet Trom, he has power to transmute chemical elements.
Yeah. The only survivor of the planet Trom.
Oh, that's right.
There you go.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Zach, thank you so much for coming back on.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun.
Yeah. Let people know where they can find you online if you got anything you want to promote.
Check out my YouTube channel, Metal School, where I'm making little documentaries about 80s metal bands.
Hell yeah.
And,
my wife will love that.
And it's spelled the right way. I didn't think until after I'd done it that I should have maybe misspelled school somehow, but with a K or something, put an umlaut in there.
No, at this point, the most metal thing you could do is spell it properly.
Yeah, there's nothing more metal than grammar.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. Nice. Metal School.
That's awesome.
That's
yeah. And what are your socials?
I'm on Facebook. That's about it. I mean, like I have an Instagram and a Twitter, but I never use them.
Have you been doing any comedy lately?
Not really. Like I haven't done stand-up in a few years just because I've switched focus to like screenwriting and not being on stage in front of people every night.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I can appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, we're only just getting back into stand-up up here. That's
It's
I might
rust.
at some point. Yeah, exactly. I'd have to write a whole new set. So
yeah, exactly. We would love to hear from you residents. Were you able to get Element Lad before the doctor? And Zach, I bet you had.
Probably not.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe you want to send us a question for next week's episode.
Next week, we are talking about Silver Age Superman.
Holy
with
shit.
Special guest Matt McCarthy.
That's right. Yeah. Another LA lad himself.
That's right.
You can reach out to us through our various social media platforms like our Facebook,
Dr. DC Podcast,
Twitter,
at Dr. DC,
Instagram,
Dr. DC Podcast,
of course, our email,
Dr. DC Podcast at gmail.com.
Wow, what happened there?
I thought it was Reddit for a second.
Reddit.
r/Dr_DC. I thought it was email for a second.
Of course, the doc phone is always open.
208-917-3238.
That's 208-917-DCEU.
If you're nasty.
And of course, go to our website,
drdcpodcast.com or .ca.
And we want those 5-star reviews. Give them to iTunes, anywhere else.
We're award winners, baby. Review us.
Yeah, let us know how good we already know we are now.
Yeah. That took me a second.
Yeah. And of course, you can send us physical mail.
Yeah.
You can go to either Richard Eden or Reed Vanier at 301 Hoge Street. That's Hoge Street, Whitehorse, Yukon, Canada, Y1A1V8. And of course, we've got even more content for you every single week. You just subscribe to our Patreon.
Patreon.com/DrDC. There's a $1, $5, $7 level. All the levels give you access to the Discord, our awesome Discord community. It's a ton of fun there. All sorts of different kind of like games and book clubs and other things play out on the Discord. And then at the higher levels, you get bonus episodes every week. You get videos. You get theme polls to help tell us what episodes should be about and stuff like that.
God, you're excited.
And it all helps support us. I am. I'm getting pumped.
And of course, for our final piece, if you want even more content from us, we have a whole other podcast.
Check out Ghost Facers, a Supernatural rewatch. We are going through every single episode of CW Supernatural. We're we're halfway through season 3. We're past the halfway point of season 3 now.
Yeah, the halfway point of season 3.
Exactly. Very
we'll be doing this. We will be doing this literally until 2026, possibly 2027.
If we make it that long.
And then you got the animated series or whatever to pop on.
Oh, I know.
And then we'll do Walker.
Yeah. Exactly.
But go check that out. It's a lot of fun. We talk about monster lore and behind the scenes stuff about the show. And it's more of us being very thirsty. And there's a lot of female gaze, I would say.
100%. Yeah. Is it? Yeah. It's male gaze, only that we're gazing at males.
Yeah. Male on male gaze.
Yeah. Some may say
I mean, I mean, not to be redundant, but it's male on male gaze.
And that's GAZE.
I mean, it's any of them, I think. All right.
Christ.
Say goodbye, Zach.
Goodbye, Zach.
Ciao, ciao.
Adios.
All the superheroes, they always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure, they are men of might.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.